Really pleased here to have with us Aaron Baar. He is the Vice President of Communications at the Chicago Lighthouse, and he's here to speak with us about the resources and programs that the Chicago Lighthouse can provide to help people who are blind or have low vision to continue to live independently and with confidence. So, Aaron, really great to have you here. Thank you so much, and happy to hand it on over to you.
Great. Thank you all very much for having me. I appreciate this. I don't get to do a lot of these, which is kind of nice. It's kind of odd as the vice president of communications that I'm not out there all the time, but I kind of do some behind the scenes and let people do it. But I'm happy and looking forward to telling you a little bit more about the Lighthouse and some of the resources that you may or may not know that are available. Um, I want to just give you first, I will start with just introducing myself a little bit and giving you a little background about myself. I'm Aaron. I'm the Vice President of Communications, as Lucas mentioned. I started at the Lighthouse almost 7 years ago, about 6 months before the COVID pandemic took hold. So it was kind of a trial by fire to get to know everything that was there and be able to do that and keep things running. I started as a grant writer and then moved into this position as the communications vice president. My background before I got to the Lighthouse was as a business journalist, and I spent a long time reporting and writing and talking about marketing and advertising, and decided that that was not something my 20-year-old self would have approved of, and pivoted into nonprofit communications. And it's been really great ever since. I will say I did not know. I came into the job probably in the same boat that a lot of you might be in, which is not knowing a whole lot about blindness and vision impairment, other than having, other than what you might see in the general world or through Hollywood or something like that. So I don't be afraid to ask any question that might seem a little bit that based on what you may think or know, and we can discuss it because I've learned a lot over those 7 years, and I'm happy to help out with that. One of the primary things that I start people with, I do tours of the building as well, and so one of the things that I start with in general is, um, if nothing else, I want people to understand the misconception about blindness and low vision and what we do. A lot of times when we talk about blindness, people think that it is total darkness, and that is almost never, or I shouldn't say almost never. That is a small, small percentage of people that we see, or people who might be affected by low vision or blindness. There are different levels, I guess we'd call it, different degrees of blindness, all the way from total darkness to something to legally blind. And a lot of people who are legally blind would have can have some light perception. They can still have light perception. They could even still have, perception of shapes, shadows, colors, all of those things, and still be considered blind, and still be I don't want to say labeled, but considered blind, to have the disability of blindness. And then beyond that, there's also other conditions, such as something that might block your peripheral vision or occlude your central vision, or some of those conditions, which can cause blindness, lead to blindness, or more likely be considered a visual impairment, which is another condition that we work with, which is visual impairment, which is not blind, but not able to correct vision to a certain point using glasses or other devices. Um, so that's how we kind of do this in that way. So moving forward, I actually just got a notice that I might have to be shut off and restart at 12:40. I'm going to push it. So let's see what we do. I thought I didn't want to restart right before this meeting, but we'll be all right. So that said, I'm just going to start by sharing. I'm just going to go through a quick walkthrough of the Chicago Lighthouse and what we do. Chicago Lighthouse, as I mentioned, we're going through a rebranding, and part of that is our new tagline, which is lighting up human potential. And I hope that as we get through this, you'll understand how that sort of ties into everything that we do. So moving on, I'll just start here. the Chicago Lighthouse. We are a 120-year-old organization. We were founded in 1906, and we are one of the uh, most comprehensive, if not the most comprehensive, organization that serves people who are blind and visually impaired. And then we do have some programs that work with people who have other disabilities and veterans, but primarily we serve people who are blind or visually impaired. But we are one of the most comprehensive in the United States, with more than 40 programs that help more than 50,000 people every year. We do offer, excuse me, most of these programs are free. I say that because some of the vision programs, we charge insurance, or we work with insurance and Medicaid and Medicare or whatever else we might need to do that. But then it's not technically free. So, but even then, if someone can't afford to pay, we make sure that we can find a way to provide those services, and we end up providing about $2 million in charitable care every year for our low vision services for people who can't afford them, because we feel that it's so important that people have access to what we can do. As I mentioned, there's a highlight here. Don't worry about that. But we try to break things down by basically 5 pillars of service and work. And that starts with vision rehabilitation, which is low vision care, exams, and other treatments. And that's probably what we'll spend a lot of the time working on or talking about once I go through the overview. Employment services, helping people either keep their jobs as they're experiencing low vision, or find new jobs that they might be able to do as they have low vision, as they start experiencing blindness and low vision. Education, and it says education and youth, but it's really children education, teaching, providing programs for young children and school age children and youth who have vision impairments, as we say it, to live in a world built for the sighted. Advocacy and independent living, I think, is sort of self-explanatory. And then we call this a fifth pillar of work, which is social business enterprises, which is something that we adopted about 14 years ago as a new revenue source as we were coming out of the impacts of the 2008 recession, which is an employment. We employ people and they do work with contact centers. They do contact center work for hospitals around the area. And that provides a lot of our clients with experience and the ability to work. The unemployment rates for people with disabilities, particularly those who are blind, are pretty high. So this gives us a chance to employ people and let them have them earn jobs and build their resumes, as well as revenues to help support our other social service programs. That's how we can help provide the $2 million in charitable care every year. So just a brief rundown of them all. The vision rehabilitation services, we opened the first Midwest clinic, first clinic specifically for individuals who are blind or visually impaired in 1955. We have been in operation since that time, and actually in the same building since that time in 1955. Since then, and our programs, we call it a comprehensive sort of program system where we provide the vision exams. We will also work with people we have occupational therapists who help our clients stay in their homes. They'll come into your home and they'll help you set up your home so that you can remain independent and within your home. We have orientation and mobility. That would be white cane training if people need to get that. And we have a psychological center that also helps with people who might be experiencing low vision, especially if they encounter it, later in life, and have had vision their entire life. It can be a grieving process that you would want to work through. Also, aside from this, we also have a store that sells adaptive technology and other devices, which is probably where you got the update on how to use the talkback feature on your phone. And that's actually something that we do a lot for a lot of people, to help people understand how to use their phones. Their phones are quite powerful, in fact, devices that can help foster independence for people who might be experiencing low vision. I should mention, and all of our programs go back to, they all revert back. Everything that we do is to build confidence, create confidence, so people can live as independent as possible and thrive on their own terms. Those are our key standpoints there, because every person is different, but we want everyone to be as independent as they possibly can for as long as they can. And that's what all of these programs sort of point back to when we get through them. Education, we also, as I mentioned, we help children with vision impairments become independent and confident adults. Our programs include a birth to three early intervention program for babies and toddlers who might be experiencing low vision or blindness. As humans, we learn a lot by seeing and by imitating what we see. When you don't have that advantage, we have instructors who will help you learn how to navigate, as I said, navigate the world built for the sighted. That includes like learning to walk and learning to understand expressions and other cues when you don't have the benefit of sight to know what they are. That also we also work with the parents to help them become advocates for their children and also to know how to raise a child who's blind, such as using your voice more often if you're in the room or something of that nature and all of that. But we also just work with them. It also helps as a sort of psychological help to know that there's people who are there to help them throughout their entire lives. We have a therapeutic day school for students who have profound and multiple and profound disabilities. It's a school that it's where we would sort of say some students who can't fit in the inclusive model or in the traditional model would be able to come because we have nurses on staff, we have one-to-one paraprofessional aides, a very very small classroom with special education teachers as the teachers in them, and we work with them on their individual goals and individual programs. We There's about 23 students in there. 90% of them also have visual impairments. We have a teacher of the visually impaired on staff. And then finally, a youth transition program, which helps students, young people who are 15 to 25, adolescents, um, build their confidence as they start to move into adulthood, especially if they have been blind or experiencing low vision for a long time. They might, their parents might be a little overprotective of them, and we want to give them the opportunity to get their confidence and do that. So we have a few programs for them, including a week-long summer program where they stay in the dorms at UIC and come to the lighthouse and then have activities through the day, and they figure out how to get there using our public transit system. And we also have a program that helps provide summer jobs for youth who are blind or visually impaired so that they can understand what it's like to be in the work world, what it's like to work with accommodations and or ask for accommodations and build their resumes. And that is a paid summer job program that we work with them. So we help about more than 250 children who are blind or visually impaired every year. About 85% of them also have additional disabilities, along with being blind or visually impaired. So, employment services. This is for our adults, particularly those who are blind or visually impaired, but also for veterans and people with other types of disabilities. This is to help people find and keep jobs so that they can be not just financially independent, but almost wholly independent, but also get community and a purpose and some of those things that come with having a job and being employed. We've actually had this program since the 1920s. It's our oldest program. It was the one we sort of founded and came around in the 1920s, and we started providing these services. So we employ and we do that. So what we do is we work with clients to train them on devices, especially if they're needing adaptive equipment like a screen reader or some way to know how to make the text larger on their screens to work with that. But we work with job training and placement. We do training on those vocational assistive technologies. We provide career counseling. We will help people understand their rights and how to ask for accommodations under the ADA. And we also work with employers to get them to encourage them to hire more people with disabilities and understand what that means and how that does not hurt, in fact, your bottom line, which is what misconception of many companies. Finally, advocacy and independent living, which are several programs to ensure people with disabilities have opportunities to live independently within their communities and thrive on their own terms. That includes an adult living skills, which is a day program for adults who are blind or visually impaired and may also have intellectual or developmental disabilities. A seniors program for older adults with vision loss that helps provide social engagement, adaptive technology support, and recreational activities for adults who are blind or vision impaired. As you can probably imagine, blindness and visual impairment can be a particularly isolating disability when you have it because it does limit your ability to go out. It limits your ability sometimes to interact with people. It limits a lot of things. So we want to make sure that people have those opportunities to learn a lot more and do a lot more with people. Chicago Lighthouse Media is a service that provides some news reading services for people who are blind or visually impaired. There's a 24-hour internet station that through which volunteers read stories from the newspaper verbatim, and then we broadcast them out so people who are blind or visually impaired or have other problems reading printed material can get the news and information and be connected with their communities. And then finally, 2 years ago in 2024, we opened the Foglia Residences, which is a 76-unit residential building where people who are blind or visually impaired, it was adapted from the ground up for people who are blind or visually impaired to be able to live independently. So there are high contrast walls and high contrast framing around kitchens, different colored and different textured tiles within the units so people can know when they're getting um, to their counters and to their other areas, and braille throughout the whole building. Um, it's the first building in the United States that was built specifically for people who are blind or visually impaired using low income housing tax credits, which is kind of astounding to us that it took that long to do something like that. Then, as I mentioned, the social business enterprises that help people find their jobs, help people with disabilities, and our clients have and maintain jobs, and then also support our social service programs. As I mentioned, a lot of these are contact centers. Where we have that, another element of that is Chicago Lighthouse Industries, which is, if you've probably heard anything about us, it's that we make clocks. That's something we've been doing since 1977, is making clocks for the federal government and some other companies in commercial markets. And we've made over that time 7 million clocks. In the clock assembly area, 80% of the people who work there are blind or visually impaired. Throughout the rest of our building, it's 30% have some sort of disability or are veterans, which is much higher than anywhere else in the world and in the in the country. It's much higher than most places in the country, and it's something we like to encourage. To do that, I like to point out that we do offer competitive wages. They're not below minimum wage or anything like that. Competitive wages, full benefits, so that people can build meaningful careers. Okay, so it says your support will help us. This was one of the things I wanted to change because I'm not asking for support. I just wanted to tell you about our impact, which is things such as our adult skills, living skills program is to give adults with visual impairments. We have about 23 adults in this day program. It's the only one in the area, and we think the only one in the state for this specific population, to help them learn independent living skills and be engaged with their community. Our call centers answer more than 3 million calls every year, including what I consider to be the greatest service of all, which is making appointments at the DMV for people. And our big contract is with the Illinois Tollway. So if someone is having an issue with their transponder or their billing or something and they call, they will speak to somebody who works for the Chicago Lighthouse to handle that call. The Chris Radio listeners, there's about 19,000 a year who listen to this and get their news and information from our service. And we also have another service called the Illinois Instructional Materials Center that sends out Braille books to public school students around the country, around the state, large print books and other materials and assistive technology. And we help about 4,500 students throughout the state with that. Again, we'll get to another one that says help us, but this is again just our impact that I wanted to talk about, which is provide more than we see more than 3,600, we see more than 3,500, 3,000 patients every year in our clinic through all of our services, and that can account for 400 exams and sessions that could include learning how to navigate with a cane. It can include having psychological counseling or working with some of our occupational therapists, and also our technology, assistive technology counselors. We help about 350 people a year who are seeking jobs. We offer the comprehensive our children and youth services. We do more than 200 a year. It's actually, as you saw, 250 was last year that we worked with. We provide those services to those, and those are all at no cost. And 85 seniors with vision impairments who come to our weekly meetings either through in-person or virtually to find their community and support. I'm going to pass through that because you don't need to know that. And then here's some contact information for us. I can let you know more about this Maureen Haller is the Chief Advancement Officer. She's my boss. I forgot to change her contact information, but you can contact her, or everyone has my contact information in there. So um, that is the overview. I buzzed through it really quick. Let me know if there's any other slides or anything else you want to revisit with that. But one of the things that I think we talk a little bit more, I'd like to talk a little bit more about, are our assistive tech, mostly our vision services and how we help people live confidently in our vision services, and our seniors programs and those sort of those programs as well, because I think that might be of the most interest. So the vision services, I like to, one of the things that's very important about our vision services is we're a low vision specialty clinic, but we do not treat people who are only blind. That is a misconception that often happens with us, that people say, oh, you need to go to the Chicago Lighthouse, and they don't want to come because they're blind. We actually want to work with people who have some sort of uncorrectable vision impairment that we can work with to help people maximize the vision that they have, understand what their vision issues are, and learn how to accommodate them either through their behaviors or through assistive technology, or help them set up in their houses and things of that nature. And so if you go to a regular optometric appointment and they say you have advanced glaucoma, or advanced macular degeneration, or an inherited retinal disease such as a Stargardt's disease, or well, the other one would be from congenital, so that wouldn't be it. But any other sort of retinal disease that might happen, or diabetes that might affect your vision, vision being affected by diabetes, to make an appointment with our clinic, and your optometrist says there's not much more I can do, I would encourage you to contact our clinic and make an appointment, because we are often a place that tries to work with people once their optometrist tells them that there's not more that they can do. Um, then let's see. So through that, and part of that whole vision services is that assistive technology, which, as we've talked about briefly at the beginning, can help you with your um, can help you with your devices, including your phone or your computers at home or iPads, to help you pull out some of they have amazing accessibility features in these things that people don't normally know about because they don't have to know about them. But once you get to a point where you do need to or want to know about them, our technology consultants can help you um, figure out those and how they work best for you, and they will work with you on how to do that and work with those to make them fit your needs. Because what we want to do is make sure that people can do the things they want to do, both with their technology, but also just in their life. So it's also, if you want to play cards, we will figure out, we have large print braille, we have large print cards there to help people play cards. We actually have giant Sorry, if you want to play a game, if you're wanting to play that old board game Sorry, there's a giant Sorry so you can see everything that's on the board. There's also Uno and Braille. There's all sorts of other ways we can do that, because we want to make sure that people can do what they can. And that work can always go all the way up to some high end devices that use, they're closed caption television type things, where magnifying, where you can put a piece of paper under them and they make the text larger so that you can read it more easily. And also, one of the things that people have talked about recently that seem to be a big game changer are the Meta AI powered glasses that can identify things. The Meta Ray Bans, if you've heard about them, they're glasses that connect to the internet wherever you are, and they use AI to help you identify. Um, if you have little to no vision, it can help you identify what's in front of you, where you need to go. It can provide you with the directions that you need to go, so it can use the GPS tracking to provide you with directions, and read documents and/or uh, products in the grocery store. It could read the UPC code to tell you exactly what it is, and the information that you might want for it. So those have done that, and that's a lot that we do with that work in there. And then, as I mentioned, the seniors program that we have is a program for older adults. And when I say older adults, I am one of them. I mean, I would qualify for one of them. I have reached the age of older adults, so uh, that is fine. So you don't have to be older. to, as we said, sort of help provide that community, but also provide uh, some of the advice that you might get on assistive technology, some training on computers, and also some uh, other things. There's a book club involved with it. There's a movie club. They do some exercise work, and that's kind of a weekly program that they do both virtually and in person at our both at our 1850 Roosevelt and also up in Glenview. We have a satellite location up in Glenview that does that. So actually, I know that that was about half an hour, and I don't want to take up all the time. I'd rather spend some time answering questions if you have them to do it that way. So if you don't mind, I just like to open it up if that works for everybody.
Well, I might speak. I just want to affirm how helpful your services have been.
Well, thank
My
you very
husband,
much.
my husband has low vision, and we began with having an eye diagnosis when it wasn't quite so bad. And then when he got really bad, we came back and met with some of your tech people and to help him adjust. I mean, can I say how old you are? Okay, he's 98 years old and
Mm.
has been very independent for 97 years. So he also spent some time with one of your counselors, which
Oh,
was
that's
very
good.
helpful in helping him come to terms with it.
That's good to hear. Thank you for that testament to what we do. I am glad to hear that. We hear it often that people really do appreciate these programs and what we can do. And I'm glad that uh, we were able to help you and your husband with that. And in fact, one of the things that we like to talk about or want to know is that people like you, we want people to spread the word about what we do because I think a lot of people don't know that we are a resource for them as they're experiencing low vision in their lives.
Well, actually, it was the eye doctor at U of C who suggested
Mm-hmm.
because I too thought you were primarily for the blind people, and he
Right.
was not yet blind. So, yes,
Right. I actually was
thank you.
speaking with an optometrist a couple of weeks ago who said that they also would like to refer some people, but they don't. They get that resistance from either the patient or the caregiver that no, they don't need that. They're not blind. And I keep saying you need to, it's better to visit us when you are at the beginning stages so we can work with you. We don't think we probably would not be able to reverse anything, unfortunately for you, but we will be able to help you maximize what you have over that time and adapt and accommodate what you have to do that. And that's sort of the important thing. Yes, I see a hand up.
Yes, I'd like to ask a specific question and see how you can respond. What kinds of assistive devices are provided by the Lighthouse for someone, let's say, who has macular degeneration and loves to read?
So I will say, first of all, we uh, when you say provided by the Lighthouse, it's available for purchase. We don't generally provide them for someone; they would have to purchase them, or they would have to find some other.
Yeah, I'm more interested in what the devices are and how they work, not how much they cost or how I could get hold of one.
Sure. So as I mentioned, one of the things that they would have, there are things called closed circuit television things, magnifying devices, and they basically look like a large computer with a light on them, and you can slide your document underneath them. Those are actually pretty expensive, and I wouldn't recommend those. But we do have things that are more portable that can magnify text as you go along a page in that way. And in fact, quite simply, um, depending on what it is, sometimes it's just a simple magnifier that you put on a page that can make the text larger if that's what the issue is. If the macular degeneration is occluding some central vision or some other vision, we can either find a way to use your peripheral vision to be able to see some things, to tilt your head. We'll work with people to help learn how to use movement to sort of focus. Or, as I mentioned, like there's devices that can read documents to you. So someone who might have low vision, there's another device called an OrCam device that you can just point at a piece of paper and it will take a picture of it and then read it to you.
Huh.
So there are many devices that can help. One of the things I do like to say about that is we like to work with people to find the device that is, one, the most affordable and effective most affordable for them, but two, most effective to reach their goals. And everyone might have a goal that's different. One of the big ones, as you mentioned, for sort of reading things is not just reading, but understanding when you get a bill in the mail or some other mail, that a lot of people don't have that ability. So we want to be able to work with you to do that. And in fact, some of those devices might even be your phone at this point. Again, I don't want to oversell the phone, but these smartphones have a lot of capabilities that we may not be aware of until we need them, and that can sort of help you magnify some things and do things in that way. All right, I see a hand up. I'm sorry, did that answer your question?
That's good. Thank you.
Okay. I see a hand.
Me or Susan or
I see you, and then
yeah, I had a quick question follow up kind of to Dorothy's question was so when I'm reading text on my phone, I like to invert the colors to read white
Mhm.
text on a black background. It's just the magnifiers, if it's like a digital magnifier, could you hold it over like a standard newsprint or something, and then can they invert the text colors or apply other kinds of filters that people might have that find
That's a
enjoyable?
great question, because in fact they can. And that's when I talked about that, I didn't really bring that up, but yes, that's one of the very nice things about those magnifiers is they can adjust to your color contrast the way you want it. Some people want to just reverse so it's white on black. There's also a yellow setting. I'm not quite sure who that works for, but I know a few people do it, that is a black on yellow to provide that higher contrast. And yes, those digital magnifiers can and do that because they are meant to be used by as many people as possible in ways that we would like them to be using that. And that's, as I said, that's something where you go in and you can learn about that. So then you go, oh, so now you know that device, and you can walk into our store, and people will say, I like to do this, and they say, oh, this device will help you do this with that. So yes, they do that. That's a great question. Yeah, go ahead, Kenneth. I see, and then we'll do Susan.
Myself and some other members of the Hyde Park Village have hearing loss or impaired hearing. Are there any considerations, special considerations for people with hearing loss and low vision?
Yeah, it looks like we lost our speaker, Aaron.
Looks like I chased him away.
Oh no, Ken. Hopefully it's just a glitch and he'll rejoin us in a
Uh,
second. But I was kind of thinking the same thing too, Ken, wondering about like, yeah, intersection of hearing loss and vision loss.
well, and the two seem connected. I mean,
Hmm.
certainly those of us who have some hearing loss, we depend a lot on reading lips, and when we can't see as clearly, then it's an impact. And
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
I think
great.
there's some
Aaron's
evidence.
back. He's muted though, I think. Yeah. Welcome back, Aaron.
Thank you. I apologize. As I was concerned about, my computer did do its automatic update and restart.
Ah,
It always
of
does it at the
course.
worst times, but I am
Right.
I am back on my phone while my computer takes it off, and happy to continue. I'm glad. That's why I
Great.
wanted to rush through that presentation, because
Yeah.
I knew it would restart in the middle of it, and this part I can
Mhm.
come back on my phone and we can do a little bit more. So I think Kenneth was about to ask a question when I went off. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yes, some members of the Hyde Park Village have a hearing impairment. I wonder if there's any special considerations for people with low vision and hearing impairment.
so we do not have programs that specifically work with those who have hearing impairments. However, I mean, I take that back. There is one program that we work with people who have hearing impairments, and it's generally those who might be deaf blind. And that is, we do orientation and mobility training and some of the other work for people who might be deaf blind. One of our O&M is orientation and mobility. One of our instructors specializes in helping people who are deafblind. That said, it is not uncommon for us to encounter people who have both a vision impairment and a hearing impairment, and we do have a few people who can do sign language if that's what you need. But we also know how to work with people who have multiple disabilities in way to be able to do that. But we do not have specific programs for that would do both. I think we work to just accommodate to make sure we can do that.
Just a little side issue. The lighthouse is located at the old Eye and Ear Infirmary on Taylor Street, which is
We're not. We're nearby. That's correct.
which is the old infirmary is described in Saul Bellows' Adventures of Augie Marsh, and it gives a very colorful description of going there in his youth with his mother. The experience was quite something to write about.
I'm gonna go check that out. I'll go check that out. I did not know that was mentioned in there. We actually do work very closely with the Eye and Ear Institute to make sure that we are getting some being able to provide as much for all clients as possible. So we do have very close ties to them and to UIC's ophthalmology and optometric programs at the University of Illinois Chicago. I can't see who has questions, but I know there was another one.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I thank you very much for this information. It's very helpful, and I think I, like many, had a very limited view of what Lighthouse could do. I'm just curious, do you have any sense of the percentages of the various populations that you serve, children versus seniors, or those who are completely blind versus those who are low vision or so forth?
We do actually have that information. I don't have it on hand. One, not on my phone, and two, actually it wouldn't even be on my laptop if I had it. I know that we have it. I'd have to search for it to find it. I can give you in the broad strokes of how those things work, which is the majority of our clients, particularly in the low vision clinic and the low vision services, are seniors, because that is the population that encounters vision impairment and eye issues, sight issues, and sight impairment more often than, or it's just more prevalent, obviously, because as our president and CEO likes to say, we are outliving our retinas, is what she has sort of said. So we are now, as our life expectancy has increased, we are obviously we are going to encounter those more often, and our eyes just weren't necessarily meant to work the way they did for as long as we are living now. So the majority of the patients that we see in the clinic are seniors, just by virtue of that's how it works. That said, we work with anybody of any age, and we do, as I said, we have babies, we have young kids coming into the clinic to get there to do those things, but it is mostly seniors there. As I mentioned, I think at the beginning, in terms of total blindness versus visual impairment, the majority, or I should say the most people will be have some sort of visual impairment and things like that. Though I would say that there's definitely a good percentage of people who are legally blind or have been identified as legally blind. But I know there's a statistic, I just don't have it off the top of my head on what we do there.
Yeah, well, the broad strokes was kind of what I was after anyway.
Okay.
Hi.
And I do.
I have a question.
Oh, wait, I think Sharon was going to say something real quick, and then we'll have your question.
Oh, I was just going to commend you on your comprehensive approach to the way you treat your clientele. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Hi. If an optometrist has told someone that there is nothing more that they can do for you, do you have better glasses, or is there a test that would allow you to figure out something else, or is it just another entirely different way to take the place of better glasses?
That is another great question. My understanding, since I have not been in that situation, and when I talk to people, is that It's not when an optometrist says that there's nothing else that they can do for you, it is that they don't have the technology or resources to really find out what to be able to if they might have that. I don't know if it's necessarily better glasses as much as it might be um, more options. So this is not necessarily related to what an optometrist can and can't do, but we can work with people who have vision impairments, uh, but can still use some devices. They're called a bioptic to drive, and that would not be something that a general optometrist would probably work with someone on. They would refer someone there to be able to do that. So other devices. So it's a little bit of both, but it's mostly trying to find other ways to do that. As I said, we probably do have access to stronger uh, prescriptions or ways to know what those prescriptions are in ways that other optometrists don't. But also, as I said, there's other ways that we teach people to accommodate. That can be as simple as a lighting scheme. If you have a low vision problem and you uh, our occupational therapist will sometimes go into someone's home and work with them on how to optimize their lighting to do what they want to do around their home. That is not something that an optometrist would do or be able to do in that way. So it's trying to find those other solutions and do that, but also know what the condition is and how that might progress and how we might be able to uh, address that before things go too far.
Thank you.
Or
That's
they're
very
going to go too
helpful.
far, but address them as they progress is the way
That's
to say.
helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to say that if nothing else, just going down and perusing your store, because I don't have the major vision problems my husband has, but we got a clock that has bigger numbers on it. Okay. We got a very strong light. We got a little handheld light magnifier to take to the grocery store, as well as bigger magnifiers. So some of these devices that are just aids to adjusting to low vision and still living your life.
Yes.
They're good.
Thank you. That's actually one of the things I like to show off when I'm going through the store is we actually have a whole area that is honestly just adaptive kitchen devices, and some of them may be for specifically for people who are blind or visually impaired, such as there's something you can put in your mug that can alert you to when you're pouring hot water to make tea or coffee, that can alert you to where you get to the level before it spills over. But there's also I love to show off that there's a vegetable peeler that you just put on that slips onto your ring finger and you can use your whole hand to do it. And my response to that is why everybody doesn't have one of those is beyond me. It seems much more comfortable and useful to use a vegetable peeler that way than with one that is handheld that you're sort of scraping against. This one you just would run your hand up and down. And even as we mentioned, just even a device that looks like a ruler, but what it does is help you grab and push the rack in your oven to be able to grab and push that without having to do it. And I say that a lot of these devices, you don't necessarily need to have low vision to benefit from the fact that they exist. And so, right, if you come into the store, you could just go, wow, this is a nice thing to be able to use, and I can get it here or do that. And that's one of the things that I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things that I like to say is that there's a lot of devices that you may not you may not be diagnosed with low vision, but there's a lot of things that you may want to use or that may be available to you that are just there. And you go, wow, I didn't even know this existed. The magnifier with the light is a great one. That's one that I'm sure we can all use. As I said, I'm now of the age where I qualify for our seniors program. And believe me, there's some of these devices that I go in there to get just because I have them. And I do not have a diagnosis of low vision in any way, shape, or form yet.
One of the topics that I don't think we discussed yet is the psychological effect of losing your vision or a part of it. And I met with one of your counselors who was very helpful. He explained to me how
losing vision is very akin to losing a partner. It's like a death. And some of the same stages of grief you go through. Uh, for example, uh, he helped me understand and accept the fact that my vision isn't going to come back and that I have to learn other ways to cope. So I've gone to, with the help of my wife, I've gone to audio books, and I'm able to keep up with my reading and fill in gaps in my in my knowledge, which I appreciate a great deal. Uh, but the counseling process helped me cope with my feelings and with the feelings of despair and the loss, which now doesn't seem so great.
I thank you very much for saying that. I also thank you very much for opening up about that sort of the psychological effect. I feel like too often we don't talk about the psychological effects of anything, and that we should talk about that. But yes, we are. When I say we are a comprehensive clinic that tries to address all that the Bergman Psychological Institute, which is what we have, is a very important part of that, as you said, for that very reason of our counselors are trained specifically and work specifically with a population that might be experiencing blindness or low vision so that they can understand and work with them on that uh, for that specific reason and the effects that that might have. And it is true that it is a loss. It's a significant loss and a grieving process. As I mentioned, we are visual creatures as humans. That's what we do. And um, there have been studies that have shown that people would rather lose their hearing, some of their mobility, or some of their physical usefulness, and even some cognitive disability, lose some of their cognitive abilities before they would like to lose their would
Right.
want to lose their vision. That's how important we have determined vision is, and so that is a really that's why it's so important that we offer that service to people, so that they can understand that, and as you mentioned, understand first of all that it's okay to feel that way, that you're losing something, and to go through the grieving process that you would, which would include anger and sadness and all of those stages, along with the um, the ability to sort of adapt to that and find those solutions and work with the rest of our world to find those solutions that do that. I think that's I appreciate you bringing that up because it is something that don't we're one of the few places in the country that has that's tied to low vision, and we don't not enough people know about it to be able to use it.
Yep.
I have, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you
You
go.
go ahead, Susan.
Well, no, I was just I see we're near the end, and I was just going to make the comment that you say this is not fundraising, but I am interested in how much of your funding is dependent on donations and volunteers.
So my computer's back up. Let me log in and I'll see if I can get in there. But our fundraising is, obviously it's a significant. We don't get any federal government funding for us, but we do have state funding for many of our programs and have actually been a part of the state budget for a while, which is a credit to our lawmakers to recognize the importance of, or I want to say the growing need that we sorry, I'm trying to type in my password and it wasn't working. The growing need that we fill for as our population ages, that more people will be needing our services. So we do accept that, though a large portion of our funding is still private funding. Actually, the largest portion is the revenues that we get through the social business enterprise. But then, so I'd say it's probably 60% through the social business enterprise and maybe 30% of general fundraising, which would include grants, private contributions, events, and other parts of that world, and then another 20 or so percent that would come from the government. That's my rough breakdown. I'm going to try to call up that statistic to get it right, but that's my off the cuff assessment.
Can I add that I was surprised at how many, we didn't get charged for any of the services. Well, we did, I think, for the eye exam through Medicare, but the others were free. So we made a contribution, but the counselor and the tech folks, no charge, and we would have gladly paid for it. So, as I said, we did make a contribution, and
you know what? I'm going to be calling you after this to just go out there and talk about how great we are. You are my dream as the vice president of communications for the things that you want to say.
Right? Yes.
Yes, I'm glad that that's how it works out. That's what I mean when we don't charge for most of our services, because we do want to make sure that people get what they need from us. And as I said, a lot of those revenues that we use can help fill that gap for those services that people can't afford, because that should never be something that keeps you from your independence. Financial considerations should not be the. I know that we live in a country that may or may not have that, but our belief is financial considerations should not be a barrier to independence.
But that's why I asked the question, in fact, is because I think many of us just sort of take for granted that Lighthouse is there and they provide these services to the public. We need to know that Lighthouse needs our support also.
Well, I am more than happy to take your support. Let's put it that way. I just wanted to be clear that that this was not intended to be a fundraising presentation. I just had taken somebody else's presentation and was adapting it, that they had put their fundraising in there. But I did not want it to be a fundraising presentation because it's so important. Okay, so I don't have the breakdown of where the money comes from in front of me. I just got the PowerPoint back up. But I can tell you that the majority of our funding supports our programs and services. 80% more or less goes to programming when you contribute. And then 17% is sort of the administrative costs. And then 3% would cover fundraising costs. And somehow public relations is in there at 1%. And I don't know how I'm in there because I don't cost them anything other than my salary. And my salary is not 1% of what we make. I'll tell you that. So that's that. And in fact, I will make sure I share all of the contact information for that. But obviously, if you just go to chicagolighthouse.org, there's big donate buttons right there. You can't miss them. That will do that. And you could sign up for our newsletter and our mailing list, and we'll start sending you not too much. I'm trying to be very cognizant of how much we are sending things to people, but every quarter or every quarter or so, we usually send out some sort of a solicitation or an email or an update of where we are and what we're doing, and to do that so that people can stay that. And I would, if you are interested in knowing what we're about and what we have, I would encourage you to sign up, because we do have a lot going on. I don't know if you guys are on social media. We also have a Facebook account. Feel free to follow us there, and Instagram and LinkedIn. We don't do Twitter anymore. It was not effective for us, and it doesn't really matter. So if you do all those, and I will send this along to Lucas and everyone, all the information that we have, so that you can have it, so they can distribute it again to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of this and listening and hearing, and your questions were fantastic. And I certainly hope that we can either help you if you need it, or you spread the word about us to others, because we are here to help people and want to make sure that people know that.
Time is up. Okay. Thank
you
you.
also. I really appreciate it, Aaron. Thanks.
Right.
And thank you to Ina Grace for arranging this presentation. Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, you can see I'm a big fan. So
yeah,
that was great. And as I said, I'm calling you back, Ina Grace. I'm putting you on camera.
Right.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you all
day.
so much.
Thanks. Thank you, Aaron. Bye.
Bye-bye.